military-style raid in Chicago sparks outrage and raises questions about immigration enforcement. Imagine a scene straight out of an action movie. Searchlights sweeping across a residential building, heavily armed agents rappelling from a helicopter, and unmarked vehicles flooding the streets. This wasn't a Hollywood blockbuster, but a real-life operation in Chicago, one that has ignited a fierce debate about immigration enforcement and its impact on communities. But here's where it gets controversial. Was this dramatic display of force necessary, or did it cross the line into intimidation and overreach? Let's dive in. On September 30th, the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, released a video of a raid in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood, complete with a dramatic soundtrack and edited footage of agents leading away shirtless men, their hands zip-tied. The target, the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Yet authorities admitted that only 2 of the 27 immigrants arrested were actual gang members. And this is the part most people miss. Dozens of U.S. citizens were also caught in the crossfire, with at least 6 Americans detained for hours. The raid, part of a broader crackdown dubbed Operation Midway Blitz, has left many questioning the tactics and priorities of federal immigration enforcement. For residents like Tony Wilson, a 58-year-old U.S. citizen living in the targeted building, the experience was nothing short of terrifying. "It was like we were under attack," Wilson recounted, speaking through the hole where his doorknob used to be. Agents had cut through his deadbolt, leaving him unable to secure his home. "I didn't even hear them knock," he added, his voice trembling with frustration. Wilson, who lives on disability, was zip-tied and forced outside with dozens of others, mostly Latino, before being released after 2 hours. "It was terrible, man," he said, his words echoing the trauma of the event. The raid took place in South Shore, a predominantly black neighborhood on Lake Michigan, where middle-class aspirations, urban decay, and gentrification coexist in uneasy tension. It's a community where drug dealers operate openly, vegan restaurants thrive, and 1/3 of households struggle on less than $25,000 a year. The building at the center of the raid, owned by out-of-state investors, has been plagued by neglect, garbage strewn about, non-functioning elevators, and a persistent stench of urine. Residents reported a rise in noise and trash after dozens of Venezuelan migrants moved in, though none felt directly threatened by them. Here's where opinions start to clash. While DHS justified the raid as a necessary measure to combat gang activity, critics argue it was a calculated political move. The Trump administration has repeatedly portrayed Chicago as a lawless city overrun by immigrants and gang members, with President Trump declaring it the worst and most dangerous city in the world. Yet, the reality is far less dire. While crime remains a serious issue, the city's murder rate has halved since the 1990s, and protests, though tense, rarely turn violent. So why the dramatic show of force? Some see it as an attempt to bolster Trump's tough-on-crime image and embarrass Democratic leaders like Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker. "This was a crazy-looking military response they put together for their reality show," said Levante Stewart, who runs a local sports program. "It's not like there are roving bands of Venezuelan teenagers out there." Officials, however, insist the operation was based on months of intelligence gathering. The building's landlord had reported that Venezuelans in about 30 units were squatters and had threatened other tenants. Still, the scale of the raid, with agents in body armor and military hardware, has left many questioning whether it was proportionate or simply performative. The fallout has been profound. By early October, over 1,000 immigrants had been arrested across Chicago, shaking the city to its core. Mayor Johnson called the agents a rogue, reckless group and accused the Trump administration of seeking to destabilize the city. Meanwhile, Venezuelan families have begun disappearing from community programs, their children either moving, returning to Venezuela, or staying home out of fear. The raid also reopened old wounds in South Shore. where generations of residents have grappled with economic inequality and shifting demographics. For Black residents, the influx of over 50,000 Latino immigrants since 2022 has stirred resentment, fueled by perceptions that newcomers receive better treatment. "They took everyone's jobs," exclaimed Rita Lopez, a local apartment manager. "The government gave all the money to them and not to the Chicagoans." Here's the bigger question. Is this the kind of immigration enforcement we want? One that terrorizes communities, detains U.S. citizens, and amplifies divisions? Or should we demand a more humane, targeted approach? Let's keep the conversation going. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below.